Hi, welcome to Reform Tech channel. In this video, we'll talk about the AWS EBS, and also I'll quickly show you how does it work. Okay, so AWS EBS is nothing but it stands for Elastic Block Store. So it provides a block level storage for volumes, which you can use for the EC2 instance to store persistent data. Okay, it's for high availability, and also it has some good durability also. So you can attach an EBS volume to any EC2 instance within the same availability zone, and after you attach a volume, it appears as a native block device, similar to what we have like a hard disk or any physical device. So at that point, the instance can interact with the volume just as it would interact with your local drive. Right, so just think of it like an hard disk alone. So whenever you copy a file in your hard disk, you just plug it to your laptop, and you can copy the files to it, and just you can detach it, and you can attach to any other laptop, right? So same way the EBS also works. Alright, so the other benefits are the data can be encrypted. We have the data encryption, and we can also back up data using point in time snapshot. Okay, let's quickly go and see how does it work in AWS. Alright, so for which we need two EC2 instances. First I'm going to create one, so I'll go to EC2 and I'll say launch instance. I'll choose Amazon Linux 2 itself, and I'm going to choose t2.micro, and I'm going to leave everything as default. Okay, I'm going to leave all the VPC and other things as default for now, and I'll say add storage. Yep. So here is a place where we have to add in our EBS volume. So by default, if you see, there is one volume attached, that is the root volume, and this is a device. This device is a dev xvda, so it is nothing but it's called the point of attachment. So where it is attached. Okay, and it has a snapshot, and this is the snapshot ID, and it's 8 gigs, and the volume type is GP2. If you want, you can change it to IO1 or IO2 according to a requirement. So if you want to know more about IO1 and IO2, you can refer to the documents of AWS, and you can find out the difference between them, and you can launch it as per your requirement. Okay, and delete on termination, for now it is checked, and let it be there. So if you remove this, you can also remove this, but if you remove this, what happens is that when you terminate an EC2 instance, the volume just stays back. Okay, so but for now I'll just leave it as it is, and you can encrypt it using the encryption which you have KMS, but I don't want to do it. I'll leave this also alone. Alright, so now I'm going to add in a new volume. So if I click add volume, you see this EBS, and you have the point of attachment as STB, STC, and a lot of other things. So for now I'll choose STB, and I would say 2 gigs is fine for now, just to test, and GP2, and I don't want to check delete on termination now. I'll say add tags and security groups. I want this to SSH into my machine, so I'll just skip this. I'll say review and launch, and I have an existing key pair. Okay, so I say launch an instance. It will take quite some time to launch an instance. Meanwhile, I will show you where this EBS stays in our AWS. Okay, if you go to EC2 and if you scroll down, and you will see a column called as Elastic Block Store, and if you see a volume, if you go to volume, you see that there are two volumes. So one is our root volume, which is of 8 gigs, and the one is the volume which we just attached, and that is of 2 gigs. Okay, so both of them are in use, and both of them are attached to which instance also you could see that. So both of them are attached to an instance which ends with 42. Okay, so this is how you can identify which EBS volume is attached to which instance. Okay, so if you have a lot of instances and a lot of EBS volumes, you could go here and you can see, or you can also see there in the EC2, but this is quite easy to identify which volume is attached. Alright, so I'll go to the EC2 dashboard. I hope the instance is launched now, and I'll just want to refresh. Yeah, it's running, but it's still initializing. Let's give a minute for it to initialize it. And you have the snapshots also. So as I said, it's a point in time to backup. So if you snapshots are taken, but for now there are no snapshots. But you can take snapshots if you want to back up your data. Alright, so I hope it should be done for now. It should be done by now. No, it's still initializing. weird. It's taking more time than expected. Okay, I'm going to connect to this instance with putty, and I have the key also for it. So once it gets initialized, I will get the IP address. This would be the public IP address, and I would launch the instance using our putty. And so what we're going to do now is that we are going to log into this instance, and we are going to mount the disk which you just attached it, and then we are going to we're going to create a file in it, and we're going to detach it, and we're going to attach it to another EC2 instance, and just to see whether the file still exists, and whether we can see the data in it. Okay, that is what we are going to do now. Yeah, so it's done. So as you see that its status is passed. Okay, now I copy this and I'll go open putty. Okay, here is it, and reform tech is the key, and with this IP address I will just log in. Okay, I'll log in as EC2 user. Alright, so we are in. Okay, so now just to check whether our disk is attached to this instance, there is a command which you have to use, that is called lsblk. So it will list out the volumes that are attached to this EC2 instance. As you could see, this is the root volume, and this is the one which we just attached. This is the EBS volume which we just attached. But this volume is not yet mounted, so what we have to do is we have to mount it now. So for which I'm going to execute few commands which will make this device to mount. Alright, so we'll just execute a command now, sudo file -s and dev xvdb, and just see this command. So once you execute this command, if you get an output with like this, then it seems that there is no file system in it. Okay, so for which we are going to create a file system now. So if this doesn't come out, and if you see a different output, then the file system already exists. I'll show you in the next EC2 instance that comes up. Okay, for now there are no file system, so I'm going to create a file system on the volume. So for which I'm going to execute another command, sudo mkf is -t and xfs dev xgdb. Alright, so if you give this, the file system has been created now. Now I'm going to create a new folder, called data. The folder is created, and I'm going to mount our volume on this data. Okay, for which I have another command. So sudo mount and xvdb is our volume, so I'll change it to xvdb and /data, the mount path. Okay, so if you execute this, it will be mounted. And now if you go to the previous command, the first command which we just executed, lsblk, you could see that it is the disk is on this mount point is data. Alright, so it means that our disk is now mounted. Okay, so I'll go to this path cd/data, and now I'm going to create a file. I'll say touchabc.txt. This is a file. Okay, I have to execute with sudo. I say sudo touchabc. Now if you ls, you see that this file is there. Alright, okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first unmount this, and I'm going to detach this, and I'll attach it to another EC2 instance, and I'll see whether this file comes up there. Okay, so let's unmount this. So there is a command again, so which says sudo unmount and the folder which we have to give. So this unmounts. It says target is busy because we are inside the folder data. So you have to just come out of this folder and then execute this command. And yeah, if you execute this command, yep, it's done. Alright, so this is done. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the EC2 console, and I'll scroll down to our block store. I'll choose volume, and here if you see this is the volume which we just used, right? So this is the one which is just attached. We can identify because it's 2 gigs. Alright, so I'm going to select this, and I will say actions, and I'll say detach volume. Alright, so I'm detaching the volume, and you should see the volume state as available. Okay, I'll just refresh and see. It'll take some time to change the status. Let's wait for a minute, or yeah, it's done. Okay, so now it is available, meaning that you can attach this volume to any other EC2 instance. Okay, so now I'm going to create another EC2 instance. I'll say launch instance, the similar way which we just did, and t.micro. Alright, so configure instance, and I will say the same thing, and I'll say add storage. Here I'll leave as it is. I'll say add tags, the security group. I will create this. I will leave this as it is. I'll say reviewer launch, same key, launch instance. Let it launch. Let's see. Let's go to this page. It's pending, and this is the one which is getting created. Which ends, the ID ends with 599. Alright, so let's give a minute for it to change at least the instance state as running. Alright, so it's running now and it is just initializing. So what we'll do is we will go to this volumes, and you see this volume which is available. I'll go to actions. I will say attach volume, and here it will ask you to choose the instance ID. Right, so you have to choose in the instance ID. So our instance ID, which we have to get it from this dashboard, so it is ending with 599. Alright, so 42 is the one we saw now, but 99, it is still not available there because the instance is still not launched. Okay, so let's give a minute for it to just launch, so that we can go to our volume and then we can attach. Alright, so it is still initializing. I'm just giving a minute for it to initialize. Okay, still initializing. Let me duplicate this tab and I'll go to the volumes, and yep, I hope it should have been done by now, and I'll select on this 2 gigs actions, attach volume. No, it's not running. Let's give 1 more minute for it to launch. I know now this is taking a while. Okay, meanwhile, while it gets launched, I'll come to the snapshots. So snapshots, as I said, this is just an we can create snapshots at a point in time. So you can create a snapshots and you can store the snapshots here. So all the snapshots which you take are here, so you can access these snapshots from this page. Alright, so and you have the lifecycle manager where you can have you have this built-in cross region copy, and we have several other things that are possible with this the lifecycle manager. So basically, as it says, is automate the creation, retention, copy and deletion of snapshots and AMI. So you can automate it with this data lifecycle. Okay. Alright, so let's check for the EC2 instance now. It should be launched because it's more than a minute now, so it should have been done. Oh, yeah, it's done. Yeah. Now I'll come back to this. I'll say just refresh button, and oh, it is still showing the same. I'll just go one step back. I will scroll down to the volumes, and here is our volume. Let's see, actions, attach volume, instance. It says only 42 still. Okay. So this reason is because the availability zone is AP South 1B. Let's also check in which availability zone is our instances. Okay, so it is in AP South 1A. Alright, so this is the reason why you are unable to see, because EBS are attached to the same availability zone. EBS cannot be attached to different availability zone. Okay, so let's create an instance with the same availability zone now. We cannot change the availability zone. directly which is running, so I'm going to create another instance. Okay, that was my bad, but yes, that is good learning for you too, because we cannot attach the EBS volume to another availability zone. That's a good lesson for us, right? So here I'll go and choose the here I can go and choose the VPC subnets or here auto assign. I'll leave everything as it is, but again, okay, the availability zone, this is 1B, right? I just want to reconfirm again. Yes, it's AP South 1B. Okay, I'm choosing AP South 1B, and I'll say add storage, and yep, it's there. The same thing, add tags, security groups, review and launch, I will acknowledge launch instance. This will again take a minute for it to launch. Let's wait for it to launch. I'll go to EC2. Okay, so for now this instance of no use. Okay, so I'm going to terminate this. I will select this instance, and if you see before that, in the EC2 instance also you could see the storage. Okay, if you have a tab called a storage here, so if you see there, it will show you the root device, and it will also show you the list of attachment that is done. There is no such attachments in this. Okay, I'm going to delete this anyhow, so I'll say instance state, and I'll say terminate instance. I'll just terminate this instance off, and let's check this one. Yep, if you go to storage, and if you could see here, yeah, if you could see here, there is only one for this also, because we have detached the volume for this as well. All right. Okay, so now let's refresh and see. It is just still initiating. Let's wait for it to initialize. Meanwhile, we'll also check whether it is now available here. I will go to volumes, and this is the volume. I'll say actions, attach volume. Alright, so it is just showing up now here. Okay, so now I want the instance ID. This is the instance ID ending with 22. So I'll go to attach volume. I'll go to this tab. I will choose this 22, and device name, this time it is SDF. You can mention SDF through SDP, but I'm just leaving as it is SDF. Alright, so I'll say attach volume. Now it is just attaching, and now if you see the state, it says in use. Okay, meaning that it has been attached to this EC2 instance. Okay, now we'll see whether this instance is launched. Yep, it's done. I will go to this tab, copy this IP address, let the session be here. I'll open a new session, and I will load. Accept. Alright, so now I want to log in as EC2 user again. Okay, it's authenticating. Now before I go to the second instance, I'll show you the first instance by executing lsblk command. And if you see that there's no device called xvdb which was there before, okay, because we detached it from the first instance. Alright, so I'm going to go to the second instance, and I'll go to search for lsblk, and now we see that this xvdf is here. Okay, that means that it is attached to this instance now. Okay, but now we have to mount this instance. It is not enough that when it is attached, we have to even mount it, for which I'm going to see first check whether file system already exists, because file system should be here because we have created a file in this first instance itself. And let me see, I am going to xvdf. Alright, so this is what I said before. So if you in the first time when you execute this command, it says a dev xvdb data. It throws you an output with data, and now it says that sgi xfs file system data and these things, right? Meaning that there is a file system already exists. So I don't want to execute this command which creates a file system. Instead, I will directly go and mount this. Okay, so I'm going to mount this in a path called as mount. There's already a path cd mount. Okay, and I'm going to create a folder here, test, Okay, let me see. Okay, this is there. Okay, all right. So let me just go into test and let's see anything there. No, nothing is there. Okay, I'm coming out. All right, so I'm going to mount this file onto the test now. So for which there is a command sudo mount dev xvdf, that is our volume, and through which path. So it should be mount and it should be test. Right, so this path we are going to mount this. Alright, so it is now mounted, and I will go to this path now. I'll go to mount and I'll say test and I'll say ls. Alright, so here you go. So if you choose ls, and it says there's a file called abc.txt which we have just created in the first instance. Okay, so and it also I'll show you this ls blk, and you see this mount path is mnt/test. Okay, right, so this is how an EBS is done. I mean, you can attach an EBS to one instance, or you can attach it, I can detach and you can attach to another instance also, but make sure that your instance and the EBS are in the same availability zone. Alright, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.